Hi everyone, I'm Raymond Teo from Secret Base. For those of you all who are not familiar with our work, Secret Base has been around for the past 4 years. We are indie development studio from Singapore, and we have about 7 games to date. The more notable one will be Bitejacker. It's a zombie shooter which we collaborated with Anthony Carboni from Revision 3. And the other one should be the Tobe series, which is what I'll be talking about today. Behind the Tobe series, I'm hoping to share with you my experience making a classic platformer for the new generation of gamers. That being said, this is a... Can I have a show of hand? How many indie developers there are here? Okay, so hopefully that's not too boring for the room. Okay, I'll be touching a bit on the game design stuff and then a bit on our results with iTunes and Steam also. So anyway, okay, for a start, what's the Tobe series? In short, the Tobe series is a series of 2D platformer based on Tobe. This is the man, and it's based on the theme of classic games parody. So you can imagine something like Scott Pilgrim, but instead of platformer, is instead of beat 'em up, it's platformer, and instead of Scott Pilgrim, it's this guy. We have 4 games in the Tobe series to date. The first one was Tobe Vertical Adventure. We released it on Xbox Live Indie Games about 2 years ago, and then we brought it over to Steam last year. So after which we work on Hookshot Escape and Great Escape on Flash, and also port one of them over to Windows Phone 7. Earlier this year, I actually released Tobe and Friend Hookshot Escape on iDevice. So what I'm going to talk about today is, hopefully with our release of the first game, release of the first 3 games, our consolidated experience, user feedback, what we implemented when we actually worked on the latest game in the series. So yeah, I think before we start, I should show you the first game, the trailer of the first game. Yep, so that was Tobe, Tobe's Vertical Adventure, which we released on Steam last year. Yep, so next time I'm going to talk about the making of Hookshot Escape, which is our latest game. So I'm going to share with you some of the design stuff that we went through, the different steps which we implemented into the latest game. So hopefully, at the end of it, I will show you the trailer for that again, and then we can make a comparison between the first game and the latest one. So the settings, we look at some of our childhood favorite, Mario and Sonic. For myself, these were not just games alone. These were, the adventures that I go on with my brother when we were kids. And I want to take that and take this very element and try to duplicate the experience in our game. So what we did was that, I took the two keywords for me, friends and adventure, and I tried to, expand these 2 points in my game. For friends, for friends, I think when we have a mascot, that is a character the player relates to, and this character is usually well balanced and a bit generic and a bit boring. So with friends, we are able to, give them more characteristic. We can have characters that are fast, characters that are bulky, and at the same time, even the way they interact can be a little bit different, and hence the experience in the world will be different. Secondly, about the adventure, we try to give the world a different theme. This might seem obvious. Mario always start with a forest stage. Eventually, you are bound to go into the desert. Somewhere along the way, you are probably going to go into the ice cave, and then eventually the lava reef, stuff like that. But games these days, I think especially things like Call of Duty, Gears of War, the sepia tone thing, after playing for 8 hours, you feel like, it's a very long road, and you haven't really been anywhere else. So I think this is the kind of things that we look into for the level settings. Game mechanic-wise, my approach is that I didn't try to be very innovative. In fact, I went a step back and I looked at the games that the elements in games that people miss. So a big chunk of my research was actually to look through top 10 lists of underrated games of all times. And after which, I went on to look through YouTube video of let's play video, people playing the game and complaining about it as they go. And that was extremely useful because the things that people hate and more importantly, the things that people like. And we combine the things together, and for the new game, we are going to have 4 different characters, each with a different mechanic. In this way, it's also a bit of a 4-in-1 game, which hopefully is value for money for the player. Okay. Gameplay difficulty. For myself, I am a huge fan of really tough games. Games like Super Meat Boy, Spelunky, even Doodle Jump for me is hard. After all, it's a game with permanent death. Everything on the screen managed to kill you one way or another. And for me, hard games are fun. It's satisfying to beat them, but with the slightest mistake from the design side, it can be extremely frustrating. So a big portion of my work is really look through how to reduce the frustration. And some of the things we implemented in our games. For example, is we make sure that we restart. The player is able to restart and jump back right into action. With that, I think when the player is used to it, they are actually familiar with the fact that they are going to die, but they are okay with it because they know that they are going to start the game very soon. We make sure the death is very fast so that it doesn't remind you that you have to stop playing the game. These kind of things I think adds to the lower the frustration. Similarly, rewarding player for death. We have things like unlockable characters after you die an X amount of times, and or even things like after you get damaged for a few times, your defense improve, that kind of stuff. I think with that, you need a bit of balancing on that, right? But with all these kind of things, I think it helps to lower the frustration. And yet you are able to produce something hard. But how are we going to do that? Execution-wise, if you look at AAA titles, I think a lot of games like Assassin's Creed, Uncharted, and Slave, these are really great games, but at the same time, the so-called platforming portion is very simple. Most of the time, you involve the directional key and then the action button, and chances are you're gonna go through no matter how tough it seems, and even more so, you're probably not going to die here. Okay, but what I took from here is the fact that we want things to be, we want things to seem easier than they look for the player. An example of this is that for games like Doodle Jump, right, which our game is also a vertical endless platformer, but with Doodle Jump, when you fall out of the screen, you die instantly. But for our game, we actually have another extra 100 to 200 pixel area where after you fall down out of the screen, you actually have that distance for you to make a comeback into the game. So two things. One, once you have that right, the player have a bit of safety catch. Second thing, once they make a comeback, it's also extremely satisfying because you just survive what was supposed to end your game. So these are the 4 points that we, rough example of the 4 points that we made into our games. Of course, there are more of it, but general idea, a rule of thumb, what we thought of in our design process. Okay, the result, you probably have to look at another trailer of mine. This is Tobe and Friends Hookshot Escape. Like I mentioned, it was released on March this year. That was like a little bit more than 2 months ago. So here you go. This is coming soon, but you can actually buy it right now if you want to. And I encourage you to do so. So yeah, as you just saw, that was the trailer for Hookshot Escape. So this is our result so far. I think personally for me the games was actually much better. You have to play both of them to actually find out, but so far it's one of my best games, and it's on different platform, and I will talk to you about Hookshot Escape on iTunes, and later we will talk to you about how Vertical Adventure did on Steam. We got around 140 on the US ranking, and then of course a few other countries. I think we did much better in Singapore, but what really matters is the US store, right? Okay, but either way, the game got quite a bit of exposure. We got featured in most of the major articles, Touch Arcade, TEO, what was the other one? 148 apps. We were lucky enough to be featured alongside. It was a very Royal Rumble week, so we have other games like Prince of Persia, Fancy Pants Adventure. All the instant top 25 games came out with us. So we kind of drowned a bit, but we were still lucky enough, to stand alongside them, and we were placed on the New and Noteworthy on the US store. I think most of the players that actually bought the game were really enjoying it. Okay, we got 4.5 or 0.5 ratings. Only a few were from my friends. Okay, and and out of which we even managed to get a little thumbs up from Adam Saltman, one of my indie hero, the maker of Canabout. He enjoyed the game and actually gave us a review on the iTunes store. To be fair, the app never really stood a chance because halfway through I had to stop the marketing. I got in communication with some of the other publishers, and I decided that I wanted to try out working with publishers, see if what they do can be slightly different. So this was actually released for $1.99. There was no trial version, no iPad version. Okay, but I think for that it's still a pretty decent result. We had plans for competition and stuff like that, but we had to stop there just to try out a different plan. In comparison, actually back then the Vertical Adventure did a lot better. Then again, remember that this is on a different platform. This is on PC. Okay, and on multiple distribution channels. We had sold more than 30,000 copies to date. Most of it, thankfully, to the Spring Bundle and the Awesome Indie Bundle. Spring Bundle, if you are not familiar with it, is hosted by Indie Royale, and Awesome Indie Bundle by Steam themselves. At the year end, they have these Christmas sales. So we were lucky enough to get into both of them. On release, the game actually made pretty good reviews also. We have nice exposure, IGN, GameSpot, the usual sites. They were nice enough to give us a feature. And we got a pretty decent score, 75 upon 100. So in comparison, I don't know how true it is, but for myself, I'm comparing the two distribution platforms, deciding, what should I work on next. PC versus iTunes, as a different distribution channel. For PC, the thing is that we usually need a bigger game, maybe 6 to 8 months at least to work on one, to release something on a decent platform like Steam or Gamersgate, Desura. With that, it says that the platform like this, distribution channel like this, they are actually hard to get into. They actually look into your game, they QC the game, make sure that they think it's fun enough before they decide that they want to put it up. But the good thing is that the indie players are actively looking for your games. There is literally a bunch of indie players waiting to play indie games. So I think that is advantageous to us. We can just put them as the target audience and do what we believe that they will buy. And they are supportive and they are very likely to buy them. Okay, in comparison. Okay, and now of course there is the bundle sales, which is the trend right now. I think the bundle sales has helped us a lot, in terms of reaching out to people and maintaining extending the life cycle of the sales. On the other hand, the iTunes for myself, I think is still more suitable for smaller game, but not entirely so. We see $4.99 games coming out, and stuff like that, which are also doing pretty good these days. The good thing is that you can experiment on it as long as it works. You can release like 10 free titles just to build your own fan base, and I think that is extremely important. Something that I should have considered doing before I release my first game. Okay, and then the downside is that it's extremely crowded, as we know, and we are competing against publishers that know what they are doing and AAA dev that has been around for so long. So what does that mean for us, right? For me, I think if you are a first-time developer or you're just entering into the iTunes market, it will be good for you to get your first game out ASAP. Get through the whole development cycle. You will get to know a lot of fellow developers. A lot of indie developers are actually very willing to share. A lot of people are actually telling me my sales figure without me asking them. So that was extremely helpful, and then you get to know other publisher, distributors, who are also interested, or even people that want to port your game over to other places. So that was really helpful for us. Secondly, I would consider working with a publisher, which is, like I say, in the first place, why I decided to halt my marketing. I kind of realized that the environment for iTunes Store is a lot tougher than just your own indie marketing. It can work. It probably work for a lot of people, but I mean, at the end of the day, it depends on if you want to risk it or not. For myself, in this area, I probably would want to stick to making more solid games and having somebody else to work on the publishing side of stuff. So that's my approach. Lastly, for my next game, the answer is probably going to be I'm just going to cross-platform everything and make games for everything, like Pokemon. And yep, that's about it. Yep, thanks for listening.